Hai, welcome to Kremés podcast.
Podcast yang paling receh and garing, but maybe informative too, depending on the day.
I'm T.
And I'm A.
Semoga podcast ini bisa nemenin lo.
And hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello Kremés family, welcome back to another episode. A new week, lots of different topics to still discuss about. We have covered a whole bunch of different things. Including sort of, more career stuff, more current event stuff. But I guess one of the other things that we aim to be when we are, with this podcast is obviously to provide insight for both teman-teman kita yang di Indo, yang penasaran mau pindah ke Aussie buat, study atau kerja atau mungkin just for living in general, just moving here, as well as those, in Australia who are interested in actually studying in Indo or, potentially just traveling there, going for exchange. Obviously, currently, all of that is very complicated and very uncertain given the COVID pandemic, but we still think that, we could still have a quick chat to you guys about, I guess the process about visas and potentially PR and citizenship. Because while, yes, the pandemic has definitely rocked the boat and there's so much, uncertainty, I know a lot of my friends yang warga Indo yang di sini yang still managing to process their PR. So it's still definitely, something happening behind the scenes. So probably just having this chat, very, very unstructured chat though, but just to give you a high level summary about, I guess, how it all works, and I guess maybe our own bits of, tips to just sort of get through how we went through our experiences. Quick, I guess, background disclosure for those young haven't listened to previous episodes. A and I are both Australian citizens. Jadi kita berdua pindah ke sini dari Indo, tapi pretty much quite soon after dapat warga Indo atau
No. I just got mine about last year. Two years ago, 2019.
Okay, cool.
But I moved to Australia back in 2010.
2019. Okay, so like a couple, a few years.
Yeah.
Whereas in my case, I think gua pindah ke sini 2004. Jadi pas the early 2000s, it was still obviously not as demanding and not as, I guess, popular to apply for citizenship or even PR at that time, which is probably why the processing was much faster than A's. So I think moved here 2004 and then pretty much got the citizenship, I think 2006. So a whole different situation. But I guess we'll do our best to sort of give you, I guess, a high level insight with regards to visas and PRs and citizenship, and just go from there. Yeah, so touching on visas for the moment, obviously with the pandemic, there's been a whole change to Australia's immigration and border arrangements. So I guess before we get into deep, look at the Home Affairs website. So it's literally just homeaffairs.gov.au. That is the one-stop shop, I guess, with regards to the imigrasi and citizenship topics, but also look into Smart Traveller website for when you're traveling to and from Australia. In a nutshell, there's different types of visas. So if you go to the Home Affairs website, there is literally kind of like a visa finder section of their website where you just answer a few questions and they will tell you which type of visa is best for you. Obviously it could be from like visitor visas to like study visa, family or partner visa if you have a spouse that's Australian, working visa, and then like other humanitarian visas and other types. So it's a very comprehensive website. Look through it all for the full details to find one that's right for you, and within each one they tell you what exactly you have to do. So we won't go into deep detail about what documents you have to prep, but in short, it's just they want to know, I guess obviously who you are. They want to know kind of like your history, the reason why you're coming to Australia, and what your intended plan is, especially when it comes to like a study visa, for example, because I have a lot of friends who are in that box.
Yeah.
Mereka harus kasih proof about their study plans, berapa lama jurusan mereka, and usually it expires in like 3 years, or if not sort of like around that time.
Yeah.
And then if they decide to like continue their study, or they have to keep going here, they have to just apply for an extension.
Yeah.
Which is basically just kind of like why you need an extension.
Yeah.
Another kind of visa is what is known as the ETA, or the Electronic Travel Authority. And that is, it's technically not a visa. It's more like for those people who just want to travel to Australia for like tourism or for like business, but only like visiting activities. That is if you come from, let me just get the list. If you come from Brunei, Canada, Hong Kong, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, South Korea, or the United States. If you are traveling from one of those countries, you can apply for an ETA, and it's a much faster processing. You don't have to pay a visa fee, and essentially what that is you can pretty much sort of like fly into Australia as many times as you want, up to a year, and you can stay for a maximum of 3 months each visit. So it's basically kind of like a more straightforward thing. I'm sure there's also like a free visa option, but that's again for tourism or business, but that's based on sort of like some special grounds. So a whole bunch of visas, to be honest. If you need to extend visas, that one website is your go-to. When you need to sort of, come to Australia for work, you need to obviously apply for specific types of visas, but also provide proof of your working offer and your statement. And there's a whole different bunch of stuff there as well. When it comes to a study visa, you've got the student, you've got training, you've got temporary activity visa. So it really depends on what you're doing. Kalau kalian hanya mau ke Aussie untuk exchange program atau untuk training program yang kayak mungkin, maksimum 1 bulan gitu, those require different types of visas. Same thing when you're in Australia and you're going to travel to Indo. So again, immigration, Home Affairs website is the go-to for that area. And anything else that you want to share, from your end about visas?
Mungkin yang perlu diperhatiin aja, karena maksudnya Australia is actually pretty forgiving in regards for student visa. Maksudnya mereka benar-benar happy to help and happy to have people from international students to come in to study in Australia itself. And they're actually pretty good country-wise, in a sense that they have a lot of good connections with multiple countries, especially Europe countries. They have good connection with them, considering that we're part of we're kind of sort of part of in EU European League kind of situation, but also at the same time they have a really good connection with Asia as well, as you can see with the connection with Japan and stuff like that. And I remember like I went to Japan and I don't have to apply for visa because we're already an Australian citizen. But I think with Indo we do still have to pay $20, I think, roughly. Just it was like a small amount. So I think also another thing that we need to figure out is we have that website. Jadi website itu available buat semua orang, kalian bisa akses kapan aja kalian mau. Tapi mungkin harus lebih kayak kalian harus lebih teliti aja gitu, karena maksudnya mereka udah it's not that I guess it's hard to say. So for example, for holiday visa and student visa, I don't think it's hard to get them. I think it's pretty straightforward. If you have the documents ready, if you have the like approval that you're going to be studying, if you have that deposit, if you have that, just ticking box of the requirements, I don't think there should be a problem for you to get it. But I guess if you want to go through like working visa, then it will be another level, because the prerequisites for them is that I know of is I think they need to have sponsors from the company or the place that they work at to genuinely say that you will be working here and you will be covered. There's a lot of that, and I guess the next step from that to become a PR it's just kind of like once you go up the level through to citizen, the harder it is, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think like for me personally, I came here, I guess there's not much we can talk about visa apart from going to the nitty-gritty of it.
Yeah.
And if you guys like this kind of episode, we're more than happy to dive into it. So we will have one episode purely for student visa, one episode for permanent resident, one episode for citizenship, and so on. But I guess today we just want to give you an overview of it, where to find it, and also our experience, because our experience could be different just for the fact of when T moved here in 2004, she straight away applied for citizenship and go through that route. While for me, when I moved here back in 2010, there are a lot of steps that I need to take. So jadi kayak dari awalnya kan gue pindah temporary resident, ngambil TR dulu, so there's no PR, it's just TR first. Apart from I was apart from the religious visa. Because my dad came here for ministry, and I think like so I was in there for 2 years, and I didn't apply for PR until about 4 years in. So I did the first thing that we did was extending, so we didn't do applying for PR until like our 4 years. So
Yeah.
Okay, experience wise, TR was 2 years period. In order to get TR, our family need to have a house, and we need to show that my dad was had like a salary in a sense from the ministry.
Yeah.
So that was the two things that I can remember of. And after that, we can extend it another 2 years, hence the 4 years.
Yeah.
So 4 years of that I was TR. When I was TR, I was treated the same as PR or citizen. So my school fee was the same. It was an international fee. I can get driving license. I can get TFN.
Yeah.
I can get TFN is tax file number, but for the people that don't know, so that means I can go work.
Yeah.
That means I can have part-time job when I was 14 and stuff like that. So I was treated the same. But when I get to uni, apparently there was a difference. So if you are not permanent resident and not citizen, you have to pay the international fee.
Yeah.
So before I graduated from high school, we applied for permanent resident for the whole family, and gratefully we get it. So when I enter uni, I get the permanent resident. I enter as a permanent resident. I still have my Indonesian passport by this rate. So all these years, I was still having my Indonesian passport. So what happened was, here's the difference again, right? So when you're a PR and citizen, when you are in uni, there's also a difference. So TR, anything else, student visa, TR, working visa, I guess all the other visas apart from permanent resident and citizen have to pay the international fee.
Yeah.
When you are a PR, you get to pay the Australian fee, but you have to pay it upfront. So I have to pay my whole semester upfront. There's no so you just have to pay it upfront, no plan, nothing.
Yeah.
While if you're a citizen by that point, you can pay it upfront, I guess, if you want to. I don't know why would you, but you can also apply for HECS. So that's like government student loan. Yeah. So ini yang biasa mungkin kalian dengar kayak di movie atau di TV tentang orang Western di luar yang kayak, oh, I have a lot of student debt to pay. This is what it is. It's basically a student loan. Jadi so the government pay for your uni, but every time you work, some of the money get taken back by the government to pay back your uni fee kind of situation.
Yeah.
So that's a different things if you're going for the working. But again, throughout this, the working is still the same. So PR and citizen and TR is the same. I can still work, that's fine. But I know that if you have student visa during that period of time, you might not be able to work. Or if you're able to work, there's a restriction of like only 20 hours a week or something like that.
Yeah.
So you need to look at your visa and make sure that what your visa requires and if you can or cannot work, because you don't want to be working illegally as well.
Yeah.
So that's the difference in terms of uni/work life. But if you want to go through the actual work and career, I guess now, I become a citizen in end of 2019. That was I applied because there was a rumor that if you don't apply for citizenship, the cost of PR will be the same as the cost as international student for uni. So me and my sisters were like, we need to apply for it now, kind of situation.
Yeah.
To be honest, if I would be able to keep my Indonesian citizen, I would like to have dual citizenship, but Indonesia doesn't offer dual citizenship.
Yeah.
Australia do, but so I still have to let go of my Indonesian passport in a sense. So what happened then is just a difference. There's not much difference apart from I can now vote in Australia, I guess. And then the difference in Indonesia wise, I can no longer vote in Indonesia. I no longer have Indonesian passport. I cannot own anything in Indonesia unless there's like certain things that I would have to apply or tax purposes or something like that.
Yeah.
Not too sure, but that's all I know from the Indonesia side.
I think it's also kalau lo dapet kerjaan di Indo,
I will be
considered an expat?
expat.
Yeah,
yeah.
you'll be an expat.
Jadi kalau misalnya gue dapet kerja di Indo, gue bakal dianggap sebagai bukan warga apa, tenaga kerja asing.
Yeah.
TKA, yeah, those things.
Yeah.
So the only difference that I would say is once you go from uni to work, yeah, it is preferable for you to have PR or citizenship.
Yeah.
Why? Because then the company or any company, especially in career wise, they know that you will be here for a long time. They
Yes.
know that they can count on you for being here more than like just 3 years or 1 year.
Yep.
Because I think working visa and student visa, you have to extend it every year kind of situation.
Yeah.
So that's the only one of the reason, and also because PR and citizenship counted as domestic, the rest counted as international. So you know, when you're domestic, then it's a different, like a whole together different I don't want to say league, but like different stream. So you are competing with people that are also PR and citizen, like, you know, you have your own registration form, you have your own like different kind of pathway in a sense. So that's what I would recommend, to have citizenship or PR before you become like before you graduated, but it is not as easy as it sounds. I have known a lot of people that unfortunately have to go back to Indo for good due to like visa, can't find visa or cannot get the visa that they wanted. So if you want to go from student visa to working visa, the way you can do it, or PR even, is to have a sponsor from your company. So
Yes.
at the start, you already have to tell them that, hey, can you please sponsor me to be, you know, working visa or permanent resident. And this could be paid off in different ways. Like either you pay it off with your own salary to your company. So technically the sponsoring come from your own like salary, your own gaji. Atau mungkin you guys work it out something with your company in a sense. Biasanya sih banyak tenaga kerja yang misalnya kayak chef do this or apprenticeship. Mostly those kind of places are the one that offering this kind of sponsorship. I'm not too sure if it's about accountant, finance, engineering, if they do open for that, but we do know that there is a lot of company that is global now. Jadi kayak jadi sebelum kita graduate aja, I remember getting a pamphlet. Jadi ada dikasih pamphlet of all the list of engineering companies, and then next to it there's like a world logo, and if it has the world logo, that means they're accepting everyone from international as well. Tapi kalau nggak ada world logo, then that means they're only accepting like PR and citizenship for their grad program kind of situation.
Yeah.
But that's from my experience with visa.
Yeah.
And I remember it was just like everything, I guess not just visa, I think like everything here is always on the date. So you have to you just have to pay attention to the little details. Like everything we do here is always up to date. Like when they say the due date is this time, then the due date is this time. Like different things, like when they say that you need these documents, then you need those documents, because not gonna lie, when you go to the center and then you didn't put your documents there, they will actually send you back home, and you have to come back the next day or make another appointment just to get those documents in. And if they want like a real document kayak yang aslinya bukan fotokopi walaupun udah ditandatangani sama notaris, you have to bring the real one in, because they don't, I don't know how to say it, but I guess it's like they don't care. Like they want these documents. If you can't present it, then you can't present it, and then you have to go home and come back again tomorrow.
I think it's also because
that's had happened so many times.
It's to respect that obviously they get swamped with so many different appointments.
Yes.
For within a day.
Yeah.
That like, you know, other people who have taken the time to prep all the documents.
Yeah.
And come a little bit earlier from their appointment. And yeah, you know, just to respect that they don't want to go overtime and to waste other people's time gitu. Tapi juga emang, I guess kalau lu nggak bisa bawa all the documents, and also like the application can't be processed, right? So to not waste your time as well, make sure you prep all the documents.
Yeah. And I think also just like in general lah, guys, kalau misalnya kayak gini-gini, ya mohon maaf aja, it will not be the same like Indo, where you can just like, you know, I don't know how to say it, but you can't just pay someone to do stuff for you in the nicest way. It is like they're pretty strict with their law, but that's what makes it good, I think, as well. Like, jadi kalau misalnya kamu emang orangnya bener dan emang kerja di sini, emang udah sekolah di sini, then your process is so easy, it will just go like smoothly. Tapi kalau misalnya kamu yang rada-rada illegal inilah, kurang dokumen inilah, gini lah, you're the one that gonna like suffer for it. Like no one else is gonna suffer for it apart from yourself.
So regardless if you're applying for visa, PR, even citizenship, just make sure that you've read everything. There is a lot to read, but make sure you properly spend time to read it.
Agree.
Because if you're not prepared when you come to the appointment, then they're not gonna probably see you.
And they don't have any, apa ya, kayak, not right, what is it called, like obligation. They don't have any obligation to serve you just because, like, there are so many other people that want to have the PR and citizenship. You're the one that wants something. So I think like that's what my view on it, but also I think like going through the process, I think legit all they want is just proof. So like if you say that you have lived here for 10 years, what is the proof? Like, do you have like an address, like the letter with the address on it? That's just basically a proof saying that you have a house. Not like you don't own it, but you live somewhere. And then like for example, do you have like your last pay slip or your last you know, your tax refund slip, and then that's just to show that like, oh yeah, you have worked here. You have contributed to the Australian economy. Like gitu misalnya kayak barang-barang gitu tuh sebenarnya semua ada artinya gitu kan, saya mereka nanya sertifikat your certificate from uni, like it's just legit to just prove that like, oh, you did go to uni here, so you didn't lie, you know what I mean? So a lot of those stuff is purely just to prove that you want to be here and you actually appreciate being here. Karena mereka mohon maaf aja, maksudnya there are a lot of people that have applied for PR, terus mereka nggak tinggal sini gitu, mereka tinggal di Indo lah, di Asia lah, di apalah, terus mereka cuman balik here and there gitu doang, atau nggak mereka cuman invest doang, tapi mereka nggak tinggal sini gitu. Jadi menurut mereka that's not nice and that's not cool gitu, maksudnya kayak
because there's so many other people who are applying for it who to actually want to stay and live here.
And live here and work here and actually bring something to Australia kind of situation. Jadi mereka mau limit aja orang-orang yang kayak cuman, misalnya kan kebijakannya kalian cuman harus kayak I think 1 month here or something, 3 months here or something to keep your PR, something like that gitu. Terus kayak nggak mungkin lah, maksudnya orang cuman jangan main licik gitu, maksudnya kayak kan mana mungkin lu di sini doang cuman 3 bulan terus sisanya kalian di Indo bisnis atau gimana gitu. Itu yang mereka mau stop a bit lah, karena again there's a huge demand and it's just not fair for people to just use it like that.
So I think in short, with regards to the entitlements that you can get as a PR nia, as I guess as compared to like a visa holder, you can remain in Australia indefinitely. You can work and study in Australia. You can be part of Medicare, which is basically like Australia's national health scheme.
That's really good.
You can apply for bank loans and buy property. You can sponsor eligible relatives for PR as well.
That's really
Jadi,
good.
as long as one person in your family
Yeah.
has a PR, you can potentially apply for the rest of your family to be PR too. You can apply for obviously citizenship if eligible. Obviously, I think as long like if you're already a PR, lo harus lawfully reside di Aussie for minimum of 4 years
Oh, yeah. To become
before
a citizen,
you
right?
apply for citizenship.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think either that was a new rule or I have
Nah.
indeed lived here for 4 years before I got my citizenship.
Oh.
I forgot. Maybe I only got it in 2008.
No, because you
I don't
came
know.
in as a kid and then you came in again as an adult.
Oh, true. Maybe.
I
don't
think
know.
that's why.
I don't know.
I
My
did.
history
I
is
have to
so-
do that. Yeah,
My
4
history is
years.
confusing, but yeah, you have to be a PR for 4 and live here for 4 years before you apply for citizenship. You can, as a PR, you can travel to and from Australia for as long as you want, like obviously based on permits. And you can work in New Zealand
Ooh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
as a PR.
that's
Obviously, if you're just a PR and not a citizen, like A said, kalian nggak bisa apply for HEX, so no student loans. Obviously, your passport will not be in. You won't have an Australian passport. Once that citizenship rolls through, that's all the entitlements you get. You can vote as a citizen. You can join the Australian Defence Force. You can work for the Australian government as a citizen, and obviously all the rights and all the privileges that you get as a citizen. I would say the only other thing I wanted to touch on was gini nih, let's just sort of istilahnya do a case study or a story gitu ya of like the transition between applying for visa, applying for PR, applying to citizenship gitu kan. And I just want to kind of I guess say this because I literally have like at least 3 friends right now who are in that situation. So mereka bertiga at separate times obviously came to Aussie buat kuliah doang ya. Jadi mereka selesai sekolah semua di Indo gitu. Dapat kuliah di Aussie on a student visa obviously, and then did their degrees and everything, and then they got a job in Australia because their company took international candidates.
Yeah.
So basically once they got that job offer, they had to obviously switch their student visa type to the working visa type.
Yeah.
And then after that, after they've worked for a couple of years, their company said that they may have capacity to consider sponsoring them for PR. So obviously, if that is your intention, like if that's what you guys are planning to do, kayak kalau final destination Anda adalah di Aussie, then make sure that you just think everything through first. And obviously, I would say like the amount of companies that are willing to take international candidates but also sponsor international candidates is not that much now.
Yeah.
They may just take international for like what vackies or like interns gitu, but the whole sponsoring capacity is a bit of a different situation. So look into that. Fortunately, I've got one friend whose company is like, yeah, just work with us for a minimum of X years, and then we'll do a performance review, and then we can sponsor you. And then after that, once you get a PR, to be honest, it's pretty smooth sailing. I do know that the whole situation with PR, I think, is you have to select the city in Australia that you are going to live in or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And depending on the city, so like all the more popular cities like Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, Brisbane, the processing for that application takes slightly longer, makes sense, than more remote cities like Darwin and perhaps Adelaide. So just bear that in mind, because I have a colleague at work who I think just for the sake of like selecting any city that would help the processing faster, she selected Darwin. And dia kerjanya di Perth kan at that time. Dan dia kayak nggak pikir how quickly that application will process, because based on the city that you select, you have to live there for a minimum of 2 years.
Oh no.
I don't know how this works. Double check the website, guys. But it's for a PR as far as I know, because she's applying for PR. So she didn't realize, like, so she submitted the application for PR. I was like, man, I'll just pick Darwin, whatever. And then it came back within like less than 6 months, saying like, okay, your visa application is being processed, but to approve it, you have to live in Darwin. You have to live in the nominated city that you place your application for at least 2 years. So she just recently came back to Perth after living in Darwin for 2 years. So now she's a PR, but that obviously was like a whole change of plans and she had to like move jobs and everything.
Yeah.
So just be wary of that rule. Maybe that rule is updated now, who knows? But now at least she kind of had to learn the hard way, that's all. But now she can apply for citizenship. So that's just an interesting sort of, I guess, insight. But as always, you know, double check all the legitimate websites. I know there's definitely still a lot of like FAQs and a lot of like student portals and like help sites out there that are trying to like, you know, provide a lot of insightful information. And while those websites may be good, make sure the trustworthy websites you go to usually have like .gov.au or .org or something like that, because those are the sources of the most accurate information. Other websites, you know, their info may be misleading or false or not 100% accurate or maybe outdated as well, especially given COVID. There may be a lot of updates happening as well, so just double check on that. I think hopefully this just gives you a very, very high level insight on sort of visas, PRs and citizenship sort of types in Australia. There's definitely a lot of options. I mean, Australia's not a very restrictive country. We're very welcoming, we're very diverse.
That's true.
But obviously they want to know what your intentions are to come to Australia and what you plan to do. As long as you're, you know, honest and open and you have a good, you know, history and that you can supply all the documentation, you might just have to wait for a little bit, but there shouldn't be any issues in getting that process.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with that. But yeah, as always, as we said before, ini emang beneran cuman overview aja dan juga garis besarnya aja, biar kalian bisa tahu bedanya apa, dan atau misalnya kalian bisa mikir kayak, oh berarti kalau apa yang gue mau atau apa plan yang gue mau itu termasuknya working visa atau termasuknya student visa. Kalau misalnya kalian cuma pengen kerja doang ya working visa, tapi kalau misalnya kalian sebenarnya aku pengen study cuma pengen part time job, berarti student visa with like some different like category of student visa gitu aja. Dan kalau misalnya kalian emang murni pengen ngebangun keluarga di sini, berarti prosesnya harus mulai dari mana? Karena jujur aja perasaan kayaknya susah ya kalau langsung jump to PR unless maybe you have all the criteria that they wanted you. But biasanya sih orang step by step gitu aja. Karena kita juga technically we're also step by step when we first came in gitu. Kita dari TR ke PR and so on, and then T got her own step by step back then as well gitu. But yeah, let us know if you like this type of content or like this type of conversation. We're more than happy to dig in more and research more about the topic and let you know if we have any more news or any more updates or any more tips and tricks that we learn from other people as well. Because I think that's what's so good about the community here, especially like just between uni friends, and also even if they're not from Indonesia and stuff like that, we do talk about this stuff on a daily basis. We kind of like ask around, hi, how do you apply your visa and stuff like that. So we have a bank of people that we can ask these questions to. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll see you next time on the next episode. Bye guys.
Thank you for listening.
Jangan lupa like, comment and subscribe and share it with your friends.
I'd love to hear from you. Please reach out with your comments, stories, and even questions on what we should talk about. See you in the next episode.
Bye. Dah.